What is up, everybody? This is Keith Jameson. Go back here, guy 231 on Sorare. Here for another episode of Sorare Stateside. Looking forward to this one. Going to start doing this. I hope, as long as family work, all of that cooperates. But every single Monday after an MLS weekend, doing a MLS breakdown of all the action from a Sorare perspective. So, situations to watch, surprise starters, surprise benching. Guys on the way up, guys on the way down, maybe some things to not overreact, all those type of things, all those decisions we have to make as Sorare managers with quite a bit of money on the line on a lot of these decisions. So I hope that is able to help. If you have any sort of comments, feedback, things you want me to incorporate in the future on this recap episode, please feel free to hit me up at GatorGuy231 on Discord, Twitter, or respond to the comments. A quick reminder to like, subscribe, and comment to this channel so you get all of this to your feed. With all that said, let's jump into it because we have a ton of games to go over. So I'm going to be using SofaScore. It's just, I'm so very much into DFS, as a lot of you all know. But, it's something I've always used. I love Sorare Data app. I absolutely love it. But, on SofaScore, I can see like heat maps of players. You got the game flow. You got a lot of little things that, even for games that you aren't watching, you can really get a good feel. Some people say I'm kind of crazy with it, but I love heat maps. Heat maps are my thing. So let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna bring SofaScore up. I have my own little notes on the side, and let's just get right into it. So Minnesota at Philadelphia, first game that kicked off the season. I think, and just the last thing before I go into it, format of this is just going game by game and just really quick overviews of each team. This is not meant to be an hour-long thing. Just kind of what I see. So if you watch the game that maybe I didn't get a chance to do, I got to watch a decent chunk of them. Thing I got to take wrong or somebody I should have brought up, again, comments, Discord, all that good stuff. All right, so Minnesota, Philadelphia. Let's start with Philly's situation. I think the Philly forwards have been one of the biggest discussion points in the offseason for Sorare managers. Obviously, Carranzo was brought from Inter Miami. He kind of, in my opinion, failed to impress. He's going to get more chances, but just in terms of taking a stranglehold of that position, like they were talking about a lot in camp, and the coach is just raving about him. Didn't really see it that first game. Corey Burke scored the goal, should earn him another start. We have Sergio Santos there, and then obviously they spent almost $3 million in allocation money on, I don't know how to say his name right, Uhuri, I think his name is. So it'll be really interesting. They got 4 forwards coming in for 2 spots. Could be very much a trying to think of the right term, like who's in form approach. I think Daniel Gazdag really stood out for Philly. As we see down here, not only did he take some corners, but was very active in the attacking third, 2 shots on target, 2 chances created. I love guys that are involved in a lot of duels. It just means that they're, really part of the action. So was very much in ground duels, fouled 4 times, tackles. So kind of filled it all up. No Sorare cards yet, but going to be one of the guys that I'm looking to target. Hopefully it's a forward card. On the Minnesota side, not a lot from Reynoso like we expect, but load was awesome. If you haven't seen one of the little flick from 30 yards on the pass, definitely watch that. Frag Panye was really good too. No Sorare card on him. And then the big thing in the back line, I thought Diabasti was a really good value defender to start the season. And he played left back. Metanera was not in. And then we also didn't see, I'm blinking on, the other kid's name, sorry. But he should hopefully shift back to the back. But if he's going to keep playing like left back or right back, it's going to kill his score. So, would be something if I owned a copy, I'd maybe consider if I can find a locked-in center back somewhere else for a similar price, I might switch it off, but at least he's starting. All right, Crew versus Vancouver. In a lot of ways, don't overreact. This was a red card game. Red card came in the 53rd minute, so the entire second half, Vancouver was dealing with that. Columbus was surged at the beginning too, but we expect that. MLS is such a home-away advantage league because the teams are so tightly condensed. There's not massive talent gaps, with the exception of a few teams, but for the most part, not huge talent gaps. So home field advantage is a huge thing. Zelarayan was amazing. Santos starting at left back was really good. We saw Miguel Berry was the big thing. A lot of people were buying Zardes. People were buying Berry. Who's going to start? Berry. He got a goal. Maybe it was an own goal, but it's counting as a goal. So he scored it. Yaboa started. Etienne. I think that's going to be their starting lineup that we saw. Let me just pull it up. We should see that a ton. Archer coming back was awesome. Dude was in tears before the game. It meant so much to him. He's been so many injuries. He's definitely on the ascent. And then we saw just, the back line just held it down. Mensah was good. Dejanek, who was their new signing, was good. Like everything for Columbus, which is good. And now they get a really what potentially is a cush matchup. We'll talk about San Jose later. And San Jose, I think on the Vancouver side, I don't think there's too much to take from this. I think one interesting thing was when Gutierrez came on, Ryan Gauld gave up his sets. So that's interesting because Gauld, once he gets auction, is going to be like really expensive. And if he's not going to have sets, that's should pull his value down a little bit. But I think a lot of people are going to overreact to Hassel having a tough game. I've already seen his price dip. I own a copy. I have no intention to sell it, but I've seen some people trying to sell it off. I wouldn't do that. Like it's going to take a lot of games of bad goalkeeping for him to lose that job. Don't overreact to the 4 goals. All right, Los Angeles FC at home to Colorado. This is another don't overreact game if you are looking at Colorado. I'm just going to go there first. Short, very, very short turnaround. Barrios, Rubio didn't start. They had just played in that Snow Bowl. What was that, Wednesday night for a Saturday game? I don't think the fitness was there. We saw a very, very shaked up lineup like Jonathan Lewis, Kay, and Max. That's not going to be starting. Like they loaded up the midfield. Like Kay and Max are midfielders. So they were very, very on the defensive. Maybe they were just thinking that they would try to maybe get a counter goal. It did not work at all. LA blitzed them, led by Carlos Vela. I want to say Vela. Maybe it's Vela. Who knows? I always call him Carlos Vela. But look, there's a huge overreaction to Carlos Vela being back. We know 2 years ago he was a cheat code card. Now, I think the reason I'm saying it's a little bit of an overreaction is he's out of contract this summer. And he made it vocal in the offseason. Like, he didn't want to sign the extension. Like, I don't know. If I'm dropping 1 ETH on a card, I really want to know where he's going. But in the meantime, if your Gower is only a forward away, freaking get Bella and, he could get you some rewards and you yield that back. And then just pay attention to the news with its contract. Kellen Costa split sets. So that's interesting for Kellen Costa holders. I think that could be really good for his value. He and Bea took sets. Sifu looked awesome. Eli Sanchez looked awesome. LA's FC was just really good. That said, they were playing a team that was just in there really, really ready to defend. So again, I would try not to overreact. He should come back in with B-Rod injured, but I thought it was really interesting that Arango was on the bench. I didn't see much about that, but I thought he was going to be like a breakout player this year. So for him to start on the bench was surprising, something to keep our eyes on. Dallas versus Toronto. Jesus Ferreira, I think is big news. Martin Cooper and I in our preview kind of alluded to it, but there was a chance that Ferreira wasn't going to have sets, and he didn't. And he played the number 9, and it really is going to hurt his all around. So I think he's still a great player. I still think he's a fine buy, but is he a 0.9, 1 ETH player? He could have performances, but I think he might be overpaying for the role there. That said, if I see him for 0.5, you better know I'm just snatching that up. Ariola was good. Paxton Pomykal was really good. Matt Hedges, a guy I pumped up a little bit, and the value defender was good. Serenia took sets. And then, I think one of the other big things is Martin Pace did not lock down that role at all. He was definitely in somewhat of a competition for Jimmy Maurer. I think it was always obvious that Pace was going to get the first nod coming over from the Dutch league, but Maurer was injured. So, could this be a situation to monitor? Pace is going to lose that U23 in the summer anyhow. He's not someone I'm running out to buy. On the Toronto side, the goalie situation, Bono versus Westberg. Bono got the start. He definitely did enough to keep it. So I'm a Westberg holder. I'm not selling off at a huge loss or anything, but I'm nervous. But I'm also not overpaying for Bono. I think I saw him go for 0.4 the weekend. No, not today. Not in my gallery. I'm not spending 0.4 on that kind of guy. And just while I'm at it, if you're going to spend up on a goalie, right, find the extra couple bucks and get somebody whose role is secured. I'm not in the goalie market right now in MLS, so I can't really rattle prices off. But I just saw, Brad Guzan. It's only 1 year left. This is probably a terrible example that I don't even believe in. But anyhow, the point still remains. I think he's 0.4, or you could play Bono 0.4. Guzan is not going to lose his job. I can sell Guzan off in the summer and pick somebody else up. But Bono, if he has like 1 or 2 bad games, he's got a really capable backup that he was fighting with the whole summer. So I don't want like one game, have an own goal and an error led to goal, and the entire week I'm sweating out like, is he going to lose his job? Like that's the worst situation to be in. So avoid that. Pozuelo looked good. I don't have really much else to. Obviously, Osorio scored the goal. Man, Toronto just, it's tough. Ruddy though, I think it's interesting. Again, I brought him up in a previous, but he's a forward card, super young kid, looked really good. So I think he's the guy that I took away from there. Austin for Cincinnati. Okay, one Cincinnati observation. Cincinnati still sucks. Like Alex Kahn is not the answer. People bought his card. They're probably sweating that out a little bit right now. I'm sure he's going to get a couple more starts, but did not look good. Backline's still bad. They can have all the attacking as attackers. Luciano Costa's great. They're going to be better at home, but holy crap, they're going to be a team we want to stack against yet again. Austin, however, looked awesome. Driussi, definitely making a case for early season MVP, as a lot of people talked about. Dominguez, I know one of my Sorare friends, Trip and B, has been kind of pumping him up for a bit. So he definitely looked good that game, Trippin. So good stuff there. Ring was awesome. I think Pereira, last year's #1 pick, was quite good. I mean, they won 5-0. Like everybody's going to look good. But that was definitely one of the best possible spots. Cincinnati just kind of rolled over and Austin jumped on him. DC United at Charlotte. So DC United mini stack of Birnbaum and Hamid did quite well for me. Getting a star reward tomorrow as a result. But I think one of my big things watching part of this game, DC does not look good. This should have been the easiest game of the weekend. I expected the DC to dominate possession, to not give up a ton of shots, and 5 shots on target. Hamid had to make a number of stops, 11 shots in total, 53% possession versus an expansion team whose coach said that they were in terrible position, that they were, I think his exact words were, they were screwed. And you're going to give up possession at home. Not a good look for DC. I'm definitely more out on DC than I'm in. The defense should be fine. I'm not like selling off my Hamid or anything by that nature, but I know a lot of people, Nyman was pumped up, didn't have a great game. Yao was a good player, wasn't anything special. Estrada was fine, but I think it was on 2 shots, right? Yeah. 2 goals on 2 shots. One was a PK. So, he did the classic Ola Kamara here, who's also scored off the bench, but still rumored to go. So, yeah, not a lot there. Charlotte, just pass. I'll pass. Sorry, but I don't see much there. They're going to struggle. McCoon, maybe if he got a price step a little bit. I know Alan Franco is a good player. Christian Ortiz, if he gets on the platform, could be interesting, but they're going to struggle all year. So I'm not running to them. San Jose versus New York Red Bull. And I started not going off my notes. So let me go back to my notes. All right. San Jose, a lot came out that Almeida wants out at the end of the year, and they're kind of looking like it. Like they still don't give a crap defensively, and they're going to be really fun to stack against. New York Red Bulls struggled to score goals last year, and I mean they come in this game getting 18 shots. So Columbus away versus home splits and MLS matter, but Columbus could come in there and give them fits. I think the lineup for San Jose was interesting. Kikau and Lopez playing like wingbacks. I'm guessing I didn't get to watch that Espinoza and Lopez did some interchange because Espinoza loves being out wide. Gregus is interesting. Montero playing like a false number 9, I'm assuming, or him more being out. I guess there's just a lot of interchange, but you know what happens with a lot of interchange? You give up a lot of possession, you give a lot of goals. So that's what happened. New York Red Bulls, I think one of the biggest things to hear was Frankie Amaya being back. I didn't realize that he was going to just walk in the starting lineup. Took half the sets, was awesome. Got close to 80 on Sorare without a decisive, right? Without a decisive, I believe. Oh no, he did have a decisive. So okay. So his all around was probably like 20, which is still great. Young kid. I think he's definitely a really interesting buy low. I think before I saw him at like 0.15 ETH for that young of a player on sets. Defensive responsibility very similar to Pablo Ruiz, but younger. I think that's a really good purchase. Morgan's did the other side of sets. Caceres off hurt. I think Omir Fernandez probably didn't give enough love to preseason. He looks really good. I've only heard good things about him. So yeah, and then Aaron Long being back is super cool. USA player, so that is great. Fire versus Miami. So let's start on the Miami side of things. Higuain being on all the sets. I think once Bryce Duke is back and healthy, which might be like over a month away now, he should probably take over Higuain. But, that gives Higuain some interesting floor. And he's already going to be on PKs, is a striker. So, Inter Miami's not going to score a ton, but I think Higuain becomes interesting. One of my biggest things I could try to stress, if you're still watching, do not run to Clement Diop. He's almost 0.3 ETH now. People are buying him up. He had a good game. The moment that Marsman is back, it doesn't matter how good Diop has been. Marsman makes too much money, has too much pedigree. He is going to take the job back. And he's close. So, if you have a Diop, you picked him up for the week, you made some good money, get the F off that card. It is not worth hanging on to. Take your profits and run. Don't buy a Bono, but go buy somebody better that's going to be consistently starting the whole year without an injury. That's really all I'll take from Miami side. Chicago, I think Sorare is going to be good this year. I was kind of I liked what they did. Gaston Jimenez being back looked really good. I got to watch some of this game. Pineda, is defender eligible, playing in that midfield. Shaqiri, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be a problem for team. Ivanov was good. Once this becomes Jairo Torres in the summer, that's going to be a huge boost. Przelko missed a big opportunity, but he is a proven striker. And then Slonina, just a damn good goalie. So I think there's a lot of good stuff. Chizos, I believe is how you say his name. Really, really was solid in the back line. Yeah, Chicago's going to be good. So, I think they're one of my surprise teams. And again, I'm taking this from a 0-0 game in Miami, but, Chicago, so much of the problem was defensively. And I think they really, are starting to shore that up. Timbers versus New England Revolution was an awesome game to watch. Let's start on the New England side, because that's obviously a very Sorare friendly team. Carlos Eel, he's really good, really damn good, and will continue to be that way. Not worried about Boo, not worried about Busca. The only guy I leave worried about a little bit, but I think he'll be fine, is Leggett. He's going to try to do that Tajon Buchanan role, but he doesn't have the speed of Buchanan. He's, a really good player, but how well can he do that role? That'll be interesting, because outside the goal, he didn't do all that much. He wasn't super active in duels, wasn't getting just to me, he faded in and out of the game. I didn't really see him versus a Tajon Buchanan just pops out on the screen. And then the other thing would be, New England needs a goalie once Turner's gone. Earl Edwards is not the answer. Gonzalez is really good, filled in for the injured Kessler. I have to imagine once Kessler's fit, he goes back to the bench. Omar Gonzalez had a great Sorare game, but I don't think he's long-term answer. Portland, Moreno is really good. I think that's going to be an awesome card when it comes. Young kid, just super active, shows up all over the pitch. Was really involved in duels. Like I said, I really like that. To try and take guys on, I think Santiago Moreno really impressed me. And then Yemi Chara's bicycle kick is awesome. Look for Blanco once fit to come back in. It'll be interesting to see exactly how they slot him in. I almost wonder if they might even try to not go with a true number 9 while Mora's out. He's in my opinion, was not very good. But we'll see how it slots in. Blanco was off the bench, getting his fitness back. Once back in, he will be a starter. Just the question is, will he be fit for 90 a lot this year? Orlando City and Montreal. Orlando City, look, Montreal is just not very good. That was kind of my take from this game. I only got to watch a little bit of. Torres looked fine. He didn't dominate the game at all, but he's a young kid, first game in MLS. I think he's doing good. He took sets. He split with Pereira. Pato was back. Orlando's defense is going to be good. Shocker. We all knew that. Caro being in is going to help them a ton up front. It'll be interesting to see where they slot him in, if he's going to go be over Benji and they still play Pato. I wonder if that will be the lineup. We'll see. Montreal, it's like Georgi Mihailovic and nothing else. I do think that Wanyama, he was on my midfield value. I think he's going to be great for grinders. If you're grinding ETH, I think he's a great little player, but I don't know, not little at all, but a great buy for grinding. I don't know how much upside he's going to have this year. All right. Got past my notes again. Let's see where we're at. So Atlanta SKC watched this whole game because I had a lot right on Joseph Martinez. Got no shots on goal, but his passing was great. Set up the first goal with a really, really nifty flick to Arroyo, who then popped his hamstring while scoring. So he's going to be out for a little bit. Really actually concerned about Atlanta, even though they scored 3 goals. I don't think they challenge Kansas City a lot, except for in transition. Tyler Wolff was solid. I know a couple people have that rookie card. While Almeida and Moreno are out, he could be really interesting, but we'll have to see how that lineup shakes out once he gets back. But, once they do get Almeida with Joseph, with Arroyo, with Moreno in the midfield, it's going to be a great attack. But I do have concerns that Joseph is not going to get a lot of service. And as a Joseph Martinez owner, it kind of, and I've been a pumper, right? It might have a few weeks of struggling here. Like, you might have to get bailed out on a PK on him. Sporting Kansas City, I thought was really, really bad for a majority of the game. The only time they really felt like threatening was when Russell was taking guys on. Remy Walter, surprisingly, was taking a monopoly of corners. I think they're really missing a Gadi Kanda who really just attacks the box and causes some issues and doesn't mind taking guys on. Otherwise, it was just Johnny Russell and everybody else was just kind of square passing. Shallow scored the goal, but I think he went missing for a lot of times during the game. Kyrie Shelton left incredibly unimpressed with. There was one specific instance where he was just outside the box. Just inside the box, and he was like one-on-one with the keeper, and he put it like 30 yards wide. It felt like it wasn't 30, but you get the plan. Kyrie Shelton does nothing for me. Galaxy are good. That was like my biggest thing from here. Galaxy are really good. I think it wasn't ideal for New York City to be on the road, going cross country after a midweek game. That definitely plays into it. I'm not concerned about New York City, but I think the makeup of Greg Vanney's really happy in LA. Like that midfield of Ravelson and Delgado was really good. Victor Vasquez, I'm sad I sold my copy for like nothing in the offseason when he wasn't re-signed. The hardest part with Victor Vasquez, if you're looking for like a value, is he can't play 90 minutes anymore, and then he'll rotate a lot when they played a lot. Like once they get midweek games, you're never going to know when Victor Vasquez is going to start. So as a previous owner, that's going to be the hardest part. But Chicharito, he's Chicharito. The moment that he gets an opportunity, like he buried it in there. Costa was taking all the sets, but he wasn't fit for 90. Yeah, just always good. That's my statement. On New York City side, they need to get Martins in there. I thought Chanot was called off for pace a number of times. I'm a Martins owner, so I might just be completely under biased, but they spent a ton of money on him. Like, he's going to get a role now. Are they going to do a back 3 or what? But Chanot's a good player, but I thought at times, especially in a good game, like there was specifically one time that Cabral just burned him and it almost led to a goal, in open space. So I don't think that would happen as easy with Thiago Martins. Maxi Morales looks good. Castellanos is fine. Like Taos Magno is fine. All the guys are fine. Don't overreact to this performance. But the one guy I thought was like disappointed me because I've only heard like really good things about Keaton Parks. I don't think they gave it to him. No, they didn't. I mean, he's a good player, but that, in my opinion, he was just like really lazy on the goal. Gave up possession in his own box, and then he was really slow to react when Raheem Edwards poked it by him. Speaking of that, should have said that that's on one of my notes, but Raheem Edwards is going to get expensive really quick. But if you're looking for a value forward, starting at left back, he's going to put up half decent scores. He's like 0.14, so that could be a look. All right, 2 games left. Houston Dynamo at Real Salt Lake. Both these teams suck. Houston needs to bring Darwin Quintero in ASAP. I think he's a really good buy low. He's a 0.15 ETH or B or below. People are overreacting to him not starting. They need him in there quick. They spent a ton of money on Ferreira, and now they have no creativity to get him the ball. So they need to get him in. Pico is going to be fine. They'll be fine, but to me, it's Baird needs to get out. Corey Baird's never done anything for me. Back to RSL days. Like I don't get it. Speaking of RSL, they're not going to be that great either. But Kralic and Pablo Ruiz are by far the best players. Pablo Ruiz had a standout game. Love Pablo Ruiz, U23. I don't think he's over 0.2 yet. If you're looking for that type of player, really good all-around game, take some sets, he's your guy. Finally, don't overreact to Seattle. That was a tough game versus Nashville. Nashville, in my opinion, Smetzer got out-coached. The announcers were talking about a ton. And it was the Seattle announcers just like, why are you not using wide spaces? Like Jordan Morris kept on coming into the middle, and they weren't utilizing the wide spaces, which what Nashville was giving them. And that was exactly what I was saying too. And, they'll fix it. You got a lot of new pieces in here. The guy I'd be most concerned about, sorry, Andy Laird, Rusnak, to me is a concern. I thought he disappeared for so much of the game. Paolo took sets over him. Then once Lodero, who was never going to start this game when he started midweek, but when Lodero came in, Lodero took sets over Rusnak. So he's down the pecking order. If you're going to pay 0.6 for a midfielder, God, you got to be on sets. And Lodero will probably take PKs over him, or Rui Diaz, who's down the PK order, my guess, too. So I'd be a little concerned if I was Rusnak the owner. I'm sure he's going to be fine. He's going to do great, but it's not going to be RSL's version, I don't think. Watch him score 4 goals next week, just to shove it in my face. All right, Nashville, Hani Mukhtar. God, he's so good. I'm like regretting selling. Maybe I'll buy one back. He didn't score, which hopefully that would take his value. I haven't looked. But Hani Mukhtar is really, really good. Just such a smart player. Leo had a great, so much of the game, they didn't do anything to create. And then it was just one moment. Leo with a cross, got through. Godoy open net was good. And then Nashville's defense is going to be really good. Zimmerman, Romney were walls the whole time. Willis was never really challenged. And, they won 1-0. All right. A lot of games. I hope that at least at the end of format, easy to listen to. If you have any feedback or anything you'd like to see, let me know. With that, I'll say, see you.